Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's Bash in Berlin Go Home edition of Monday Night Raw, broadcast live on USA Network from the Amica Mutual Pavilion in Providence, Rhode Island. In the main event, Uncle Howdy pinned Chad Gable following his sister Abigail finisher.
Uncle Howdy caught him! Sister Abigail! Light up the fireflies!
Here is your winner, Uncle Howdy!
How sweet it is, and how good it must feel. Uncle Howdy's return to the ring here tonight. Bo Dallas celebrating the victory.
The Creed brothers had attempted to interfere on Gable's behalf, but were neutralized by the rest of the Wyatt Six. The match marked the first in-ring appearance for Bo Dallas as the Uncle Howdy character. It was also Dallas's first match of any kind since November of 2019, and his first singles match in 6 years. The opening match was an 8-man tag team encounter between the Judgment Day and the LWO, in which Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, Finn Balor, and Carlito went over Rey Mysterio, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Dragon Lee. Dominic got the win for his team, pinning his father. After the match, Judgment Day went on the attack, but Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley made the save. CM Punk attacked Drew McIntyre with a strap while McIntyre was cutting an in-ring promo, leading to a pull-apart brawl and McIntyre eventually fleeing the scene. Randy Orton also cut an in-ring promo addressing his upcoming match against World Heavyweight Champion Gunther at Bash in Berlin on Saturday. In two triple threats that were being held to determine the number one contender to the Intercontinental title, Pete Dunne emerged victorious over Xavier Woods and The Miz, and Jey Uso emerged victorious over Kofi Kingston and Karrion Kross. In other results, Io Sky and Kairi Sane beat Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark when Sky pinned Stark, and the match between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed went to a no contest when both men brawled out of the ring and outside the building, leading to Reed delivering a tsunami splash to Strowman on top of a parked car.
Oh no, the hell is Reed doing?
Oh no.
Where the hell is he going? Somebody get him down from there!
Oh my God.
Bronson,
oh my
what the
God.
hell are you thinking about here? Not from up there!
Oh
no
my
way!
God. Somebody say a prayer!
Get down, Reed! Not from up there! A tsunami! Out of the roof of the car! Through Strowman! Give me minutes! Give me minutes, Isaac! Give me minutes! Give me minutes! Give me minutes!
In some unfortunate news, Sid Eudy, known throughout his wrestling career as Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, and Sycho Sid, passed away yesterday at the age of 63, according to a social media announcement made by his son Gunner. He had been battling cancer. Known for his impressive size and physique, intense promos, and for helping to popularize the powerbomb, Sid was a two-time holder of both the WWF World Championship and the WCW World Championship, a former USWA Unified World Champion, main evented WrestleMania 8 against Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania 13 against The Undertaker, and was a member of the Four Horsemen from 1990 into 1991. A native of West Memphis, Arkansas, he was introduced into the business by the Poffo brothers Randy and Lanny, trained by Tojo Yamamoto, and made his debut in the Memphis territory in 1984 under a mask as Lord Humongous. He came to World Class Championship Wrestling in 1988, where he first became known as Sid Vicious, taking his name from the famous bassist of the punk rock band the Sex Pistols. He first rose to national fame in WCW thanks to an initial run from 1989 through the first half of 1991, which saw him come in as one half of the Skyscrapers with Dan Spivey and wind up as the newest Horseman in May of 1990 after Sting was kicked out of the group in a well-remembered angle. He jumped to the WWF in the summer of 1991, where he became known as Sid Justice during a short-lived run that only lasted 9 months before he was back in WCW. He would return to the WWF as Sycho Sid during the New Generation era of the mid-1990s, defeating Shawn Michaels for the WWF World title at Survivor Series 1996 in Madison Square Garden, quickly losing it back to Michaels at the 1997 Royal Rumble, then regaining the belt from Bret Hart on February 17, 1997, in what was the first time the WWF title had ever changed hands on Monday Night Raw. Sid departed the WWF in mid-1997 just as the Attitude Era was getting underway and would spend the remaining 3.5 years of his full-time career in WCW. He'd capture the vacant WCW World title and hold it for one day in January of 2000 before regaining it later in the same week and holding it another 11 weeks. He main evented the final Starrcade later that year against then WCW World Champion Scott Steiner. His career was cut short by a catastrophic leg fracture sustained while performing a high-risk top rope maneuver in the main event of WCW's Sin pay-per-view in January of 2001, just 2 months before WCW's sale to the WWF. After spending 3 years away from the ring, he would later appear sporadically in the 2000s on the independent and international circuits, including a tour of France in 2009. His final match took place in August 2017 in Ottawa, Ontario. He is survived by Sabrina, his wife of 41 years, as well as their sons Gunnar and Frank, and 2 grandchildren. Once again, Sid Eudy has passed away at the age of 63. In ratings news, last Friday's SmackDown drew an audience of 2.050 million viewers to Fox, according to Programming Insider. That's down almost 10% from the previous week's audience of 2.252 million. This was the lowest audience the show has drawn since the June 14th episode. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a 0.56, also down from the previous week's demo rating of 0.61. WWE SmackDown crew came to Belgium yesterday in the continuation of the Road to Bash in Berlin house show tour. The card was similar to the previous night show in the Netherlands, with the following exceptions. Gunther retained the World Heavyweight title over Sheamus. Bayley and Naomi defeated the team of WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, and LA Knight retained the U.S. title in a fatal 4-way with Ilya Dragunov, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Ludwig Kaiser. And finally, in independent news, the first show presented by Scott D'Amore's new promotion, Maple Leaf Pro, is scheduled to feature an AEW star against a TNA star in the main event, according to a social media announcement yesterday. AEW's Konosuke Takeshita is set to take on TNA's Josh Alexander in the main event of a 2-night show, scheduled to take place on October 19th and 20th in Windsor, Ontario. D'Amore put together his Maple Leaf Pro as his newest venture after being terminated as TNA president earlier this year. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.